Hey everyone, welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Popple, along with my co-host, William McLaughlin. How you doing today, Will?
Dude, doing good. How you doing, man?
Oh man, it's a great day. Today's guest is Kurt McLaughlin. So Kurt is a real estate investor, developer, construction professional, and entrepreneur with more than 20 years of experience managing commercial construction projects and building real estate business. From creative financing and seller financed acquisitions to land development and value add investments, Kurt has built a reputation for finding opportunities that are often overlooked. But what makes his perspective unique is that he not only is chasing real estate for the sake of real estate, he's also building a business that allows him to spend more time with great people and enjoy life with his wife and do fun and profitable deals along the way. So today we're talking creative finance, development, construction, and designing a life worth living. Welcome to the show, Kurt.
Howdy.
What is up?
How's it going today, man? Let's give the listeners a quick version of who you are and what you're focused on today.
So Kurt McLaughlin here. Been an active investor since 2020, pretty much. We started flipping in 2020. Been in commercial construction pretty much my whole life. So I just turned 50 last month. So up here in Portland, Oregon. Got some kids graduating, so traveling from Florida. So one of the nice things about living this lifestyle is, here we are up working from a different state.
I love it. Yeah, man. So we had the pleasure to hang out with Kurt a couple times. Awesome guy. We connect. Easy to talk to.
Well, Will, I think we lost you for a second. All right, till Will comes back. So you have a unique background with over 20 years in commercial construction before becoming an active real estate investor. How did that journey unfold?
Oh man, it's actually significantly longer than that.
Okay.
I think a typical construction story is my neighbor was a contractor. He actually worked for a commercial construction company. I started working with him when I was 15-ish. So summers through high school. And then basically, what do you do out of high school? I think like most people, you have no idea what you're really going to do. My opportunity was in construction. I bought my first house. I turned 21 and bought the first house. I remember that bill was around $895 a month for that mortgage payment for that house. And just worked construction
Wow.
for almost 10 years, before really doing anything else. So
awesome. And then growing up around Portland and now investing in both the Pacific Northwest and Florida, what attracted you to real estate in the first place?
I took a Than Merrill class. I remember the flip this house guy. I think they were A&E and this, that, and the other. Yeah. So I took that. You go on a Thursday afternoon or something for 2 hours, and they get you all pumped up, and then you pay $100 to go to a weekend class. I did that weekend class. I wish I would have bought the $30,000 backpack. Honestly, that was end of 2015. Not because I think it was worth it, because I think if you have a $30,000 bill, suddenly your motivation to follow that guidance, I think, is different. I was too busy. Just started a commercial construction company on my own, so I spent the next 5 years not getting paid, building a lot of brand that stepped away from in 2020.
Yeah. What lessons did you learn from commercial construction that translated directly into real estate investing?
I think business in general, like there's a lot of business involved. I'm a pretty extroverted person. Something I really like to do is networking. Mm-hmm. I think, especially in business, like figuring out who you really need to be networking with. I think I guess the term is the 80-20 rule, but I think it's probably like the 96-4% rule, which means about 96% of people are talking about real estate, talking about investing, and 4% are doing something. And so I guess now I'm much faster to the who's actually doing something invaluable that I might get something out of, versus people who are just trying to pick your brain. Can I take you to coffee? Pick your brain. It's like I rarely do that anymore. Now it's like, here's my email address. Send me an email with what you're looking for, and if they can follow through on that, like then maybe we have the next conversation.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you definitely spot on that. There's a lot of people in the real estate industry that talk about real estate, but like, are they really doing everything they're saying? And you definitely see a mix of that.
I think I don't know. I think if you listen, I don't know, listen to people, right? They usually tell you the truth. Most people are telling you that they want to do this and they want to do that. It's just like you give them some advice and they still want to. It's just people don't. The follow through is the hard part. So.
Right. Now you've managed healthcare, medical, dental, and multifamily, and then mixed asset or mixed use projects. How does that experience help you evaluate deals differently than the average investor?
I walk through on like rehab projects, fix and flips, those kind of things. I can walk through and kind of put a budget together just in my mind, just walking through rooms, like what my gut feeling is, and I can feel pretty close, pretty confident about those numbers. Same thing, like when we're putting together some large RV park projects, like those numbers, I have people to call, like, hey, I'm thinking this is what we're doing. This is about what here. What do you think that price? And kind of have people to run that by, because just have that experience and people that we know that are getting there. So I feel like that helps quite a bit. Same thing, like been in the industry for a while, so I know bankers and lenders and people who are in that space, the accounting guys. So it's like, what am I missing? Hey, take a look at this prospectus or the thoughts I have on this particular project or this spreadsheet. Let me know what you think. And then they'll come back and grill me about some numbers, and either they're close or right, or I thought of it all, or most of the time, I missed this or missed that, and really helps. So,
what do you think kind of expedites that process? Is it building a team? I know you said you like to network and you're utilizing a lot of people who kind of stay in their lanes. I think investing in two opposite sides of the country is pretty difficult, but you seem to master it. So
master is a pretty big word.
What are kind of those little trade secrets that it might help the listeners if they're getting started out?
Two things that I say. I don't invest in both sides of the country. I invested in Oregon because I'm from Oregon. I have, for all intents and purposes, a team here in Oregon. About 3 years ago, we decided that the politics were not aligned with where we wanted to be, and the weather wasn't nice enough for us. So that's where we discovered Pensacola. It was not our first choice, or just like this miraculous, oh my God, Pensacola is amazing. Like we did some research, went around, and we just discovered it there. And the white sand beaches, and that emerald water is just pretty amazing. So discovering it, and then also doing the due diligence, like the amount of people that are moving there, the prices of property, the rents, sort of the opportunity, I suppose, of the area. So we started marketing and buying in Pensacola long before we moved there. So
yeah. Nah, I definitely think there's something magical about Pensacola being a Florida city, and then our rent to cost ratio, I think, is a really great number for the state, because I came over from Destin, a couple counties over, and the rent to cost is a lot different than here in Pensacola.
Yeah, I think everywhere is getting to know the numbers. Like here in Pensacola, the numbers seem pretty simple, but getting to know the specific neighborhoods, 2 blocks away is the mansion, and another 2 blocks away is the mobile home park. So
yep.
in the same zip code, like knowing which sides of the road to be on, prices. If anybody's worked with wholesalers, this out-of-state wholesaler, right, to them Pensacola is Pensacola. A zip code's a zip code, but in reality, it's very nuanced in every little piece of it. So, they don't care. They're like trying to get the most out of their bang for their buck of whatever property they particularly have. Well, this one sold for this, without any clue of why one might sell for 75 or one might not even be worth 15. And so making sure that every opportunity I get, I drive around town. I drive back roads. I drive for dollars when I'm marking properties on PropStream. just taking advantage of sort of getting to know the neighborhoods and the areas. So,
yeah.
So talking a little bit about, I want to go back for the listeners, like why driving for dollars is so important, especially when Sam and I do it every day. You're doing it, but sometimes people feel like, oh, it's not really worth their time. But where do you want to talk about that? Because lots all the time, and all I'm thinking is, oh man, we got to figure out who it is.
I don't think you need to drive for dollars if you grew up someplace and you've lived there your whole life and you know it like the back of your hand. But I moved to Pensacola, or I started coming to Pensacola 3 years ago, and I didn't know how to drive from the airport to the beach, right? So I think it was important for me. I want Pensacola to be my home, and for it to be my home, I want to know how to get somewhere without having to use maps. That makes it feel like something to me. So that even though I used maps to drive around, like I was just driving around and getting used to it, and now like I have a good idea where things are at, and it's like, well, I don't know where the street goes. So for me, it's getting familiar with the place, right? And then also I want to make sure that when someone sends me a deal, that I have a really good idea of where it's at, if I'm interested in it at that moment or not. Like I have a pretty good idea if I'm interested or not, and if I'm not interested, now it's more price. Like, what's the price? Like,
yeah.
And where their price is at is I can respond almost immediately of no thanks to I'm closer to way down here, or wow, that's a really interesting deal.
Right. Now let's move on to some creative financing and deal structuring. Now, one of your specialties is creative financing. Why do you believe creative financing is becoming more important in today's market?
Well, I'll tell you what, I think about I think about real estate very differently than most. This catch term, creative financing, is sort of the word of the day. I don't think most people understand it, other than most people can't get financed for a house, right? So if I can't get financed for a house, I'm gonna have to get creative, and that's the extent of what they know about it. I think of financing as in another commodity. Like, what if the financing is separate than the asset, and both of them are something you can trade and worth value? Basically, a house that you can buy for 50% of its value, right? Everybody can understand the value of that. But what if there was financing that made that asset worth more? Who would like to buy, a $10 million commercial property at a 1% rate, right?
Right.
That $10 million property, even if you paid $10 million for it, you only had to pay 1% interest on it. Like, how valuable is that property at that moment?
Oh yeah, no.
Suddenly that financing is incredibly valuable. So what if you can just move that financing around with you from project to project or deal to deal, right? So when you can separate those two things from the asset and the financing and realize that they don't necessarily go together, you buy the $10 million building because it has phenomenal financing. Then you sell the building, maybe even at a loss, because that financing is so valuable. If you moved it onto another asset, something you already owned or were planning on owning, maybe, like, this is an incredible opportunity, or could be.
Right. Now, one thing I heard from another savvy investor once told me, when he's giving out offers, he tells people like, "Well, hey, look, I can give you your price, or I can give you your terms, but you get to pick one, I get to pick the other." And I thought, well, that's actually pretty good way to do it, because if I get to choose the terms, I can go with almost any price you want to give me. And then if you choose the terms, then I can pretty much do any price, and so it's kind of, I thought it was a fun way to look at it.
I think it's a fun way to look at it. I think it's probably pretty short-sighted, right? I think conversations are very nuanced. It's, if it was that simple, right, everybody would do it, I suppose. I think there's so many pieces to a conversation. I think the best deal that you could possibly have, is where the seller gets everything they wanted and had no idea what you wanted. Right?
Okay. Tell us what was your first seller finance deal, and what was your takeaways from that one?
Well, I have a lease option I would call it seller financed, right? A little bit of sub two, you know.
Okay.
I'm actually selling this house right now. I've had it for a couple years. I, brought nothing down. I cut the mortgage up. I did some refinance. So I got about 25 grand into it that I actually borrowed on a private note. And then, so I actually improved the property value. I took over the loan with a long-term option, and my strike price for that option is the declining principal balance of the mortgage. So the longer I have it, the more we pay down, the more equity I have. So it's a great way to kind of sub to a deal without a real sub to. Otherwise,
I remember you telling about the strike price before in a past conversation, and I definitely like that, using that terminology in there.
Yeah, and then otherwise, other than that, like there's people who have one or two or three houses or properties, and they are their retirements, and so to sell a $300,000 house, and basically when these Pensacola properties, you bought some of these properties for $30,000-$40,000, so they fully depreciated them, so that's a $250,000 tax bill that they're giving up, $125,000 out to the tax man, versus amortizing it over 15 or 20 years, and taking a $1,200 or $1,500 a month payment. That could really supplement someone's income. So we have a couple properties where they don't have balloons. They are fully amortized over 15 years. And that's, our sellers' plans. Like they're retiring, and it basically added to their income, during this retirement age when they have a significantly lower income as, these properties that, they're getting interest payments on. So
yeah, what are some misconceptions investors have about seller financing?
You can do it with no money. You can have no experience. Like people, it's really big right now, I guess, is the creative financing or seller financing. People think they can come in and say, I have no experience, I have no money, you should just give me your house and I'm going to make it worth your while. And that kind of sounds like the government to me, but like in reality, who's going to do that? Like, are you going to sell your car to someone that has never had a car before, doesn't know how to get insurance, probably doesn't even have a driver's license, and give them some, great terms on it in the hopes that they're not going to wreck it, and it's going to survive the next 15 years. Like, it's just, the reality is you need to get some experience, you need to have some money, and and that usually comes with partnering or savings, or kind of a plethora of other options. So
right, how do you structure the deals that so that it's a win-win situations for both you and the sellers?
Well, like I said, to start with, like, the conversations are always starting with, what do you want? And when they pick the price, and the price is reasonable, like, anybody who's been in this business long enough knows that $10,000 at the end of the day on a couple $100,000 loan is meaningless. So is it worth it to fight over 10 grand? Sometimes it's worth it to fight over 10 grand just to get a point across, but most of the time it's not. So when the first answer is I want 150 and your number was 145, like, you don't even have to argue about that, right? You can say, oh yeah, I can totally do that. Like, what are you thinking? Oh, well, I want 20% down. It's like, 20%. Like, okay, well, let me know why. What's the 20%? Oh, that's just that's just what they tell me is safe. It's like, well, safe, but that's this number right here. It's like, if I was going to the bank, I'd pay this kind of interest. Back to the whole conversation, right? So, what does the seller actually need? And asking, like, how'd you get here? What came up with that? It's just sort of getting to the bottom of what the reality of the situation is, I suppose.
Yeah. Now, for someone who's listening right now, and one of those people who has never done a creative finance deal, where should they start? And I think you already kind of hit on that a little bit. Is they should probably find a partner.
Getting experience, and I would say the best way to get experience is finding someone who's done it before, and then adding value to what they're doing. Like, somehow, whether you're finding money, whether you're offering labor, whatever that happens to be. Like, experience is going to probably be the easiest way. I'm sorry, partnership is probably going to be the easiest way to get experience.
Right.
Yeah, or just jump in, like, find 20% down, do a flip,
Yeah. Now, are you seeing more opportunities for creative financing today than you did a few years ago when we had the lower interest rates and the market rush?
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I mean, there's has always been a ton. I would say there's less opportunity now because there's more banks. Um, banks make their money one way, they lend money. So when there was less banks and the interest rates were higher, I think, there was more creative financing. We just didn't call it creative financing then. There was a lot more land contracts. There was a lot more
Owner finance.
lease options. Yeah, owner finance. I mean, it was it just was right. Now the
Right.
banks have figured out how to make money on it, and they've normalized, banking through bank lending. We used to have, God, what were they called? What was the Christmas movie where the
Oh, Christmas Story.
not A Christmas Story. He was the bank. It was the trust company. It was I mean, they used to have, it's a credit union now, but it used to be literally a company that was just savings and loan. That's all they did. They were a community savings and loan, right? That's all they did. Was they took over for the land contracts basically to a savings and loan. And I mean, they created a whole business around it, and they've normalized it. And so they've made that seller financing kind of feel unnormal, but it has been around a lot longer than mortgages have.
No, that is definitely true. Because I mean, before there were banks, people were doing deals amongst themselves. So yeah, there's always been a form of owner finance, aka creative finance, out there.
Yeah.
But let's move on. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I actually was talking with a friend today who owns a significant amount of property, and he's old and he's at retirement age, and he literally is holding on to properties in the city of Portland that he won't rent. It's like, I will just keep them empty. I literally just pay to keep them clean and empty rather than have renters in there, because the landlord tenant laws are so bad in Oregon and Portland that it's just not worth it to him. So he's got more than a dozen properties that are empty, and he has friends who are developers doing these tiny, basically the clusters in the yard. So cottage clusters here, pretty big, just because urban growth boundary keeps property values really high. So, I told him, like, hey, if it was me, the way you're doing it, I would literally sell him to these on lease options or terms. You carry the financing for the property and stuff, because you can ask whatever price you want, and you can get full price because, they're not having to finance it. So they're able to get their construction lending, and then you're going to get paid out as they, once they build the properties and sell them, and you're already just sitting on them, not doing anything but paying taxes. So, it seems like a really good deal for him. With the market being slow.
Well, and then especially, like I said, with the other parts of, like, it's not an easy tenant environment over there, so trying to avoid dealing with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's move on to some development and finding opportunities. So you focus on redevelopment projects and ground up development opportunities. What excites you most about development?
I'm not sure. Like I've started in the industry as a fix and flipper. With my construction experience, that was just easy. I mean, it's not easy, but it was easy. So going from that to realizing that this is a great job. It pays pretty well. And the second I stop or the market changes, so does my income. So went back into, I really need to hold some of these properties. So as we came into Pensacola, that was our goal, was to hold properties. And as we get into looking for some more active income, flipping just doesn't seem as attractive. So that's where the development comes in, along with a bigger commercial place. Like, I just have more ability to add value through an entire commercial development than I do on a single rehab, especially when, the market medium price of a home in Pensacola is $350.
Right.
I came from a market where it was $700, so 20% of 700 is much better than 350.
No, definitely 100%. So how do you identify land opportunities that others may overlook?
That's definitely not my primary skill or thing. Like I'm looking for, specifically, I started looking for mobile home parks and RV parks. Started discovering, what zoning we needed to have. I started looking for what is already zoned that way. I started looking at those pieces of property. I'm a realtor, so I'm licensed in Florida. It gives me the opportunity to look on the MLS there and start discovering all the little areas, and then driving for dollars. Like I literally drove around for 3 months of like, I know where the properties are zoned or at. Let's go look around. And there's signs all over that are for sale by owners. Like, how do we start calling those people?
Right.
And discovering all the stuff.
Yeah. So, what's a past development project that you worked on that you learned a lot from?
One of the recent past, we turned a farmhouse that was, I think it was a fourplex. It was a really crappy fourplex with a garage in the back that had been converted to a 2-bedroom, and it had a duplex on it as well. So it was all one big tax lot. So we spent about 2 years actually getting this thing converted into 13 units. And that was just on the permitting side. And then spent about 7 months actually doing the build out, digging out the basement, adding 3 units to the basement, going through a significant amount of permitting requirements to get that done at a cost of well over $2 million.
Yeah, but then at the end of it, you had 13 units.
Yeah, 13 units and a value of 1.9. It was great.
Dude, that is awesome. Yeah.
Well, except it would be awesome if we didn't spend 2.2.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that part wasn't a good part. Yeah. No, that's man. So I guess that was one that went over on costs and.
Well, yeah. Again, the perspective of what we're supposed to do, and then the city says, no, you're going to add this, you're going to add that, and so, and at the end, to get it done, what are you going to do? You're going to do what the city says you have to do.
Yeah.
And time heals all wounds. So like, we don't have to, it doesn't have to be sold yet. So like, the money's not lost. It's just the payback on that is the lessons learned of, what are the permitting requirements? What do you absolutely know versus what's the up in the air stuff. And it was already close. And I mean, honestly, I was a minority partner on that deal. So I'm not really hurt by it, but I think like everybody else is feeling the pinch of right now. Like it was started in a time when interest rates were started with a 2.
Yeah.
And you can sit on something a really long time for that.
I had a project that the other half of the people I was going to build it with, I owned half the deal, and these other guys weren't it together, and they actually had a falling out, so we sold it. Part of the reason we went ahead and pushed it was the same thing. We bought it, was hoping to develop it, but then the interest rates again were climbing from high 2 that rapidly hit the 7s, and changes like a 9-unit project on the beach completely when a rate moves 4 or 5 points.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the phenomenal things about creative financing is like, I don't know, like where I'm from here in Oregon, like a lot split takes 2 years. So you're talking about a lot split, getting kind of an entitlement and then getting into a 6-month or 9-month permitting process. I mean, it's every bit of 2 years. So, being able to.
Will and I were just complaining about having to wait 6 weeks to get our response from the city. So that's wild. 2 years.
I mean, it's a pretty amazing thing to be here in Florida and have that opportunity. So it's more things that I see as kind of incredible opportunities to be here. So
yeah. For sure. Now, before we start recording, you had said something that really stood out to me. This was actually a couple weeks ago that you want to have. What you said was, I just want to have fun, profitable real estate with friends, make money, and hang out on the boat with my wife. Where did that philosophy come from?
I've worked really hard for a long time, and I was telling my son this the other day, like hard work doesn't equate to profits or success. Like, unfortunately, it's like you really can't just work hard and have success. Like, it's the right kind of work, right, in the right places. And um, when I flipped and the same thing working construction, like I was kind of proud that I would just work until it was done. And probably, around 45 or 47, I thought, like, you know what, I remember coming to this conscious decision, like it's 7 o'clock at night, and I'm there and subs are working, and I'm just like, you know what, I just don't want to be here anymore. Like, I want to go sit on the couch and kind of hang out. And that was probably the biggest decision that helped us move towards Florida. And so now we live on the water. You wake up to the water, you go to bed to the water. Like, the boat's out there on the lift, full of gas, ready to go. And like how much do you need? Like, I still need a lot more, but can I do that from the boat? Can I search rock? Can I fill out lease forms from the boat? Like, I want to get out there more and just enjoy the life that I have left. Not that I think it's short, but like, I want to take advantage. We moved to the beach to take advantage of being at the beach. Honestly, we not often enough, but often, we go walk on the beach on Sunday mornings, and there's a nice little place to go have brunch. And although I won't spend $4 on a Coke from from the store, I'm like, you know what? I don't need that soda. Like, I'm just not. It's not even the sugar or the calories or any of it. It's literally like, I'm not going to pay $3.50 for a 2 liter for sodas, but I'm okay paying $20 for brunch.
Right. Well, no, and I really do appreciate what you said, because whenever Will and I come over to your house, and got to enjoy that day with you, out of your spot and get out on the boat, I was thinking to myself, like, man, maybe I'm putting a little too much in the piggy bank and too much into deals, and maybe I need to enjoy some of this as well, because I was like, this is a great setup that you have.
Yeah. We're real estate investors, and I think people have this perception that means that we're rich, and that absolutely does not mean that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the perception
means we're cash poor and everything's in the land.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, I mean, it
Speaking for
really
myself,
is, like,
so.
It is like, like we own a bunch of properties.
Yeah.
I don't have a W-2. It's, it's, for all intents and purposes, it's extremely difficult to finance stuff. We work through it and get it done, but I think that's just because we're willing to do the work. Most people have a job, they're tied to it from 9 to 5. Sometimes weekends, like, it's easy to finance a house if the income is there, if this is there, if they did that correctly, if they filed the taxes. Like, I have to jump through more hoops for that stuff. But on a Tuesday and Wednesday afternoon, I get to go watch the Blue Angels in the boat. And now, I don't have some $1 million boat. I have a pretty frugal boat that I do a little bit of work on, but I also owned it outright. The house we bought we put a lot of sweat equity into it to get it to the point where it's at. Like, it didn't look pretty. Like, it wasn't what, Martha Stewart would say, oh my God, that's an amazing, like, when we bought it. So it takes a lot of effort and creativity to see those opportunities that most people just aren't willing to work with. But yeah, I do see the benefit of spending a few dollars on gas, right? Taking a little bit more time to enjoy what we have. I mean, we live in a pretty amazing place. And spend that little bit of extra time with the wife out, just hanging out in the water. It just feels amazing. If you haven't had the opportunity to do it, like 90-degree ocean water, it feels pretty amazing.
Yeah, no doubt. So, like, when talking about being able to kind of separate and understanding when enough is enough, but then still making the critical decision, how are you picking and choosing the right deals? I really love that you said you're able to do some deals on the boat, which that is critical. And that's where I'm striving to be. I think Sam's the same way.
Yeah.
But when you're kind of deciding that, what's that critical tipping point of like, okay, this is where we're going to go, and I'm going to maximize my effort here. Kind of what you were just talking about, how you can work really, really hard, but that doesn't necessarily equate to a lot of money. It's like understanding the right deal, working smart. How are you kind of picking and choosing now?
am much more comfortable with tools, with a work truck, driving to a project and getting something done in a day. Like that's just my comfort zone. It's what I've known all my life. I just don't make very much money doing that. So it's very hard. I mean, it's a huge struggle of like, I want to get up at 8 o'clock. I want to get in a truck. I want to go to a job site and I want to get something done and I want to leave. Like, that's just like, oh, wow, I can see what I did. I can see the progress that I made. It's much harder to realize that I make much more money during conversations and discovering and closing deals. It's hard. I mean, it's a struggle every day. Like it's a struggle every day. I need to not chase squirrels. I have to tell myself that I don't make money doing work. I make money, I mean, literally perusing Facebook, meeting people, figuring out who actually is a producer and who is, from California trying to sell wholesale deals.
Right.
Finding
deals down the line.
I've learned more in the past month sending you guys deals, just and hearing the response from it, like about Pensacola, like specifically, like I can see the price, I can see the location, but or Sam, well, you've hit back. Oh, this one was this was that. It's like, oh, damn, that's crazy. I wouldn't buy a lot for myself really, but I've learned a lot about lots just by sending you stuff and you giving me feedback. It didn't make me a dime. It costs very little to get a huge education from you about them, which for me it's like when I'm buying lots, like I'm working a deal with a guy on a lot, on a house with a lot, and the lot is worth significantly more than I would have given it value to, because I've ran it through the wheel brain of like, oh, I see what it is and I see where it's at and I see how that, but it's still attached to the other house. Like, how do I buy this house? It's worth this much, and I'm getting a free lot that's worth 35 grand because I can understand what the value of what we put there is, And
get it under contract. We'll do the rest. I promise.
The
surveys, I'll line it out. We got you.
I understand, and I know the location. So yeah, but again, it's back to, I have a seller who wants to sell, and now how do we make a deal that it is beneficial to him, but beneficial to us. So I don't know, and keep going to networking events, like keep understanding who you're looking for. Living a life that doesn't require me to go to a job every day and bring home a W-2 income. I mean, that's like, I didn't buy a $90,000 boat. I bought a $9,000 boat. I have jet skis. I didn't buy $12,000 jet skis. I bought $2,000 jet skis. I have a life that costs gas. It doesn't cost payments. Aside from my Jeep, it's just like, I think that's probably where it's at. People want to live in this life of keeping up with the Joneses and expressing who they are. Like, I would say we're pretty privileged and blessed, but like we've done it strategically, to both kind of have some life to live and still, I still feel like I work a lot, I guess. I'm constantly working, evaluating, like everything that I'm doing is in the real estate realm, buying, selling, looking for deals, talking to people. Even when I'm meeting other business people, like we're constantly looking for private money. Like, we're doing things where we need cash, we can pay a great return, but that's not in our bank account. So, we need to develop those relationships with those people who have cash and don't have the time or the ability to find places to invest it safely. And so, just understanding where I fit in there, and building the trust and building the personal liability and brand of being able to put that money to work as well. So
where do you see yourself in about 10 years down the road? What's the day in the life of Kurt look like?
Like I said, we flipped a lot of properties. In 2022, high interest hurt. I think what we've really learned is, I don't mind doing the work. I'm ready to take a little bit more time, maybe do it a little bit slower, enjoy the moments, but work hard, and honestly try to acquire property, like try to acquire rentals, where that real long-term wealth of even if they're kind of barely cash flowing today, like realizing that they are going to increase in value, rents are going to keep going up. And then how do we get into some larger assets? You mentioned about the RV park that we're working on building, getting in some mobile home parks, maybe try to get up to 250 units here over the next 10 years. Yeah, and that would be the goal, really. The RV park is about 80 pads, so that's going to be with some partnerships to get that done, just to step up into that next size property, and then eventually into that those larger 250 units. So that'd be the goal. That would give us the opportunity to spend a little more time on the boat, a little less time managing people.
I mean, we're ready to work with you on that. We can go in on the boat too. So yeah, we definitely love big stuff. So we'd love to get into an art park or some apartments.
Sam just putting it out here for everybody to hear. We're just going in on boats. That's recorded, so that's live.
Yeah, we got to put it out there in the universe that I'm gonna make sure that in 10 years we have a Midnight Express.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'd like about a 62 Hatteras. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Might as well get 72. Really, I mean, I was thinking of Viking. Why not? But
Hatteras style, so offshore boat. But that's definitely. Yeah,
that's awesome. Last kind of question I always love to ask this one is, if someone was listening right now today, they're just getting started off and they want to do what you're doing now and kind of follow that vision, what's the best piece of advice for them to get started?
I always tell everybody their first deal is the best deal. It doesn't mean it makes the most money. It just gets you involved, right? You find out that you can recover from, you can solve the problem, you can fix it, you can get it done. That really, just getting that first deal done is kind of the breakthrough. I think. I remember how long it took me to do my first deal. Like I said, 5 years. We did that fan Merrill class and didn't actually flip a house for another 5 years after that. Get involved.
30,000.
I should have, right? Like I lost more than that in 22. That's for sure. But getting around people who are doing it, the meetups, like start talking. But the biggest thing is ask for advice from people who are doing it, and then take the advice. Right? Ask, hey, what would you do if you were in my situation? And then when you get some feedback from that, like follow through on it, like do it, and then report back to those people. And there's a handful of players in the Pensacola market. There's a handful of players in every market, right? And they're not hard to find because we love to talk about real estate. We love to share stuff, but you get burned out from people who ask for advice, want to know how to do it, and then don't do anything. So take some of that advice, put it to work, right? And then report back to those people who gave it to you. They're going to be so excited that you actually did something that they're going to be willing to give you that next piece. Like, oh, what about this? And pretty soon you take 2 or 3 pieces of advice, you put it to work, right? You have your next partner. I need this done. I need that done. I realize you don't have the money, but I need someone who has the time to go do this stuff, and I'll give you this piece of that. So I would say that's probably the biggest piece: is get some advice, put it to work, and report back to them and tell them that you did it.
I love it.
Great advice.
So, man, you got any questions for us? I really appreciate you being on.
Yeah, how much do you have to put towards that boat?
Dang it, Sam.
Yeah. I mean, look, we gotta get the RV park done, and upon the refi, we might then start a charter company.
People ask me how long I've been, how do I learn all the business stuff that I have, and it's just been a culmination of, over 10 years, pure business, like just learning, growing, like education, classes, people, like organizations, events, like mentorships. Like I've spent a lot of money on mentorships and programs. I would say the key thing there is when you're spending that money, spend money on people who actually have something that they've proven they've done something, not just someone on the internet who has a CD to sell that they this class did this, like something tangible, their business or what they've built. What made you guys want to get into development and your goal to build? How many houses are you trying to build this year?
Man, we start off the goal with the year of trying to build 26 for 2026. So I think we're gonna fall a little bit short, but we've also, some of the projects have gotten into higher quality. So it's there's a little
higher
bit of
price points.
Yeah. So like, we were saying that we were going to do a whole lot at the 300,000 mark, and we got like one plan in our books for, a house that wind up probably being like 1.2 in of itself. So that one counts as 4.
Well, there you go.
So like I said, but yeah, the goal is was definitely to grow. But as we're getting into it, we're also realizing kind of in the market, of building, how much competition is in the starter home level, of that sub 450 mark, the houses that are in the high 2s to 450, super competitive, going against big builders versus there's builders at all levels, but the people that are buying the $600,000 to $900,000 range, have more options and can choose and pick more. They'll actually have, at that point, then have things they're wanting and looking for, and it's not so much about who's giving the most buy down incentives.
Yeah, nice. Definitely, because that's tough. It's tough to compete when some national builders are buying 2 points down, and for someone like us that we don't have our own mortgage company in house, it's like $60,000 to do that, or whatever.
You come to one of our houses, you'll get some real quartz countertops, like really sticking on there, and not like a little 2-inch baby slabs. So there's definitely some differences, but man, we're definitely enjoying what we're doing. I mean, we've like I said, we're trying to expand. We're buying more lots. We've been taking on more investment partners. We've actually been offering more levels, which is kind of leading me to the point of the show where I plug in what we do. So if anyone has any lots in the Escambia County area, we are actively buying deals all over Escambia County, which is the greater Pensacola, Florida area. So if you have any leads, have any deals, please send them our way. You can go to the eliterealestatepodcast.com and shoot us a message there with any lots you might have in this area. We're also actively looking for investment partners to invest in our deals. We do have a minimum of $50,000, but we have partnership levels that vary in the 50 to 100 range. And then we have even better deals at 250 and 500. So if anyone is interested in partnering with us on any of our development deals, please shoot us a message. Again, go to the eliterealestatepodcast.com, and you can go down, scroll to the bottom, and send us a message letting us know that you're wanting to invest with us, and we'll reach out to you and get with you.
Yeah, man. And then Kurt, where can everybody find you at?
Mostly on Facebook, and it's KurtM333, Kurt McLaughlin. My email address is Kurt@KurtMcLaughlin.com as well, for people who have questions or interested in what we're up to. So, or if you want to go on the boat, like we go on the boat a lot, so we're not shy.
Awesome. Well, sweet. Well, I appreciate your time, Lance. We always appreciate you putting everything together, and most importantly, we appreciate everybody that's listening. You guys making it happen. Thanks for Clean Eats, helping getting all the guests together and help put the podcast and shows together. And if you guys have any more questions, or you have anything you want to reach out to us, feel free to reach out to us directly at theeliterealestatepodcast.com. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate everyone listening and subscribing, and we can't wait to talk to y'all next week. Thank you for listening.